Shalom Yesharala. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ruchah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to those Akim that's preach the word in all truth and sincerity. Along to Israelite foreigner brothers that are like the heathens. But the line and false side goes back to the nation of Israel, which nation of Israel, i.e., so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, through the prophecies and curses of Deuteronomy 28 chapter and throughout the Bible. So this is Brother Yakar of my back the video, and today's video will be entitled, When the Enemy Shall Come In Like a Flood. I'm just going to go on some precepts and Lord willing, you brothers and your sisters out there be edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemo Shai. Because we understand according to biblical prophecy, according to the scripture in Revelation 12 and 12, therefore rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil, which is talking about, the so-called white man, is come down to you having great wrath because he knoweth that he had but a short time. That's right. So we know this prophecy will be fulfilled very soon. When Esau comes after us all, all tribes, which we're seeing this on a low level with the Northern Kingdom, the ICE agents, they deporting a lot of the Northern Kingdom, they detaining them, but very soon on a higher level, it's going to be against Esau is going to come down with great wrath upon us all. All of us Israelites, man, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But we have hope in Yahweh Shemo Shai, and we believe that the Lord was going to protect us, man. And when you go to Isaiah 59:19, so shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, which is talking about the Western Hemisphere, which is here in the Americas, and the glory from the rising of the sun, which is the east. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against them. And right, so when Esau come in like a flood, through his military troops, his drones, his artificial intelligent robots like the Boston Dynamic robots. He's gonna come with everything he has. And but the Lord said He gonna lift up a standard, and with that word standard is from the Hebrew word nawas, which means depart, disappear. So the Lord is going to have the elect disappearing. Rather the Lord's going to give some of the elect spiritual power, or the Lord's going to have the elect disappear through an angel. Having an angel teleport an elect member out of danger from Esau. It says to take flight, to put to flight. Because the elect is going to put to flight Esau's armies. And I just want to get an example of when the enemy shall come in like a flood, because this happened before in our history. In this account, I want to go, this happened during the time of the great prophet Elijah, and I'm just going to read the whole chapter. It's only 18 verses. So, it's going to, a very short chapter, so it's going to go into it. It says, Ahaziah's messengers meet Elijah. Now, this was King Ahaziah, which he was the son of King Ahab, the northern kingdom king, and he was wicked. Ahaziah was wicked, and King Ahab was wicked. Which King Ahab, he was an infamous northern kingdom king, and his wife was Jezebel, the Phoenician woman, heathen woman. But this is 2 Kings 1:1. It says, Then Moab rebelled against Israel after the death of Ahab, and Ahaziah fell down through a lattice in his upper chamber that was in Samaria and was sick. And he sent messengers and said to them, Go inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron, whether I shall recover of this disease. And this was a problem. King Ahaziah, The northern kingdom king, he didn't seek Yahweh by Shimon Shai to for him to recover from that disease. He took from Beelzebub, the god of Ekron, which is um, a false god. You know, it says, but the angel of Yahweh said to Elijah the Tishbite, arise, go up to meet the messengers of the king of Samaria, and say unto them, is it not because there is not a God in Israel that you go to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron? You know, so this is Elijah. Saying, hey, are you going up to seek, inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron, because you don't believe that it's the God in Israel, which it is, the God of Israel. His name, the true name is Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, and the Son Yahweh Shai. But King Ahaziah, he was seeking to Beelzebub like it wasn't a God in Israel. you know, it says, verse 4 says, now therefore thus saith Yahweh, thou shalt not come down from that bed on which thou art gone up, but shalt surely die. And Elijah departed. So Elijah told the messengers to tell King Ahaziah that, he gonna die. He not gonna recover from his disease. On his deathbed, he gonna die. It says, and this is the message from the Lord that the Lord told Elijah to tell the messengers to tell the king Ahaziah. And when the messenger turned back unto him, he said unto them, why are you now turned back? And they said unto him, there came a man up to meet us, and he said unto us, go turn again unto the king that sent you, and say unto him, thus saith Yahweh, is it not because there is not a God in Israel, that thou sendest to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron? Therefore thou shalt not come down from thy bed on which thou art gone up, but shalt surely die. So this is the message repeating what Elijah said to the Ahaziah. And he said to him, unto them, what manner of man was he which came up to meet you and told you these words? And they answered him, he was an hairy man and girt with a girdle of leather about his loins. And he said, it is Elijah the Tishbite. So it was Elijah. He was known because he was a great prophet, man, and he was very known amongst the kings of Israel. Then the king sent, and this is the point, you know. Then the king sent unto him a captain of 50 with his 50, and he went up to him, and behold, he sat on the top of a hill, and he spake unto him, thou man of God, the kings have said, come down. And Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, if I be a man of God, of the Most High, then let fire come down from heaven and consume thee in thy 50. And there came down fire from heaven and consumed him and his 50. So this is an example of when the enemy shall come in like a flood. This captain and his 50 uh, uh, army men came up against Elijah. And best believe they wasn't just saying it regular. This captain of 50 with his 50 men, they was best believe they was yelling at Elijah and stuff, man. They wasn't speaking to him normal. They was, best believe just through extrapolation, they was um, they was speaking very authoritative to Elijah, you know. And Elijah he waxed bold in Yahweh Shemosai, and the Lord sent um, um, as it says in there, came down fire from heaven and consumed him in his 50. So that captain and his 50 got destroyed, you know. So this was divine intervention from Yahweh Shemosai to protect Elijah. And these type of miracles is going to be happening in these times. When Esau come out on great wrath. It says, verse 11, again, also he sent to him another captain of 50 with his 50. So this is the second batch. And he answered and said to him, O man of God, thus had the king said, come down quickly. And Elijah answered and said to them, if I be man of the Most High, let fire come down from heaven and consume thee and thy 50. And the fire of Yahweh came down from heaven and consumed him in his 50. So it consumed the second batch of the captain in his 50. So the Lord was was showed divine intervention, man. Showed his power through Elijah. It says, and he sent again a captain of the third 50 in his 50, and the third captain of 50 went up and came and fell on his knees before Elijah, and besought him, and said to him, O man of the Most High, I pray thee, let my life and the life of these 50 thy servants be precious in thy sight. So this captain, he was begging Elijah to have mercy on him. And best believe when Esau starts seeing the power of Yahweh Shemashah on a higher level, when the Lord starts to uh, make it plain that he's protecting his elect with his power, his spiritual power. These Edomites, they're gonna be seeking for mercy, man. But there ain't gonna be no mercy granted until these Edomites or these heathen nations. You know, because they never they never showed us mercy, man. If it was up to them, they would never show us mercy. So, you know, beginning with these Edomites, so ain't gonna be no mercy showed to these heathens when judgment comes down. But verse 14 says, Behold, there came down fire from heaven and burnt up the two captains of the former 50s with their 50s. Therefore, let my life now be precious in thy sight. And the angel of Yahweh said to Elijah, Go down with him, be not afraid of him. And he arose and went down with him unto the king. So that was a point. You know, so um, yeah. So this was this account. I know I said it's gonna be verse. Well, this is keep going. Verse 16. And he said to him, Thus saith Yahweh, for as much as thou hast sent messengers to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron, is it not because there is no God in Israel to inquire of his word? Therefore thou shalt not come down off thy bed on which thou art gone up, but shalt surely die. So he died according to the word of the Lord. So Ahaziah, he ended up dying according to the word of the Lord, which Elijah had spoken. And Jehoram reigned instead in the second year of Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, because he had no son. Now the rest of the acts of Ahaziah which he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel? Right, so the point, going through this account was this was an example of, when the Lord saw, as I said, Isaiah 59, this is an example of the Lord lifting up a standard against, his enemies. And also an example when the enemy shall come in like a flood. Those two um, captains in their 50s that got burnt up, that got consumed by the fire of the Lord. That was a perfect example of when the enemy shall come in like a flood. And the Lord protected Elijah because Elijah was part of the elect. So the Lord's going to be doing stuff like that during these times. You know, miraculous judgments, divine intervention, man. To the point when Esau and these heathen nations, they gonna know it's power from on high, from Yahweh Shemashah, man. You know, so yeah, I just want to make a lesson on that. Lord willing, I was edified, and until next time, Shalom.